They only now, after years of pushing this, say oops about one thing one guy said that today.
Yeah. And they've pushed this same rhetoric day in, day out. Almost every single one of their on-air personalities has been pushing this day in and day out, and they will swear up and down that the right are guilty of stochastic terrorism, while they have done everything they can to demonize everyone on the right. Again, Charlie Kirk, who is very milquetoast, average, everyday Republican, not extreme in any way, and they will call him all of these horrible things because he has opinions that are different to theirs. And it's unconscionable that this is that they continue to do it, because they're going to do it tomorrow. Like, they're not going to stop. Like, I wish they would, but the same people are going to make the same comments tomorrow. You see it on X all the time. The only silver lining that I see is most of our politicians, most of the Democrat politicians, have had reasonable responses. Not all of them. AOC has said some garbage stuff, and a few others.
How about on the House floor? That was disgusting.
Exactly. Not all of them, but most of them have had reasonable responses to this. A few of them have said, well, it's a gun control problem, which is infuriating. But thankfully, at least the politicians are smart enough to have a reasonable response. But when it comes to pundits and other people on the left, it is the same garbage celebrating this murder. It's disheartening and it's disgusting.
The comment from many people throughout my earlier stream and many in the chat right now is civil war. There was a comment someone made earlier that I should just put it like this. You go on X, you look in the chat, everybody is saying that this is a catalyst moment. I have an X post that's going viral. I'm not going to read it. It has 15 million views, 15,800 retweets, reposts, in which a Democratic socialist celebrates the death of Charlie, says it's good, advocates for more. And my concern is this sentiment celebrating it. They celebrated Luigi Mangione, as y'all were pointing out earlier, that they're going to, when they find out who this shooter is, they're going to make him a millionaire. They're going to give him, he's going to want for nothing. They're going to celebrate him like some kind of hero. I went to Northern Ireland, and they have the peace wall. On one side is pro-Israel, and the other side is pro-Palestine. And I asked one of the locals, how does that make sense, Ireland? And he says, none of it makes sense. It's just one side hates the other. He showed me this location where I don't know the full details. I'm sure those of you that are watching know much better than I. But it was a memorial to citizens who were massacred. Several guys with guns during the Troubles just went and just shot up some public location, killing a bunch of innocent people. And one side celebrated it. They did not care who was killed or why they were killed, just that their enemy was killed. These people on the left don't know anything about Charlie. There's a really great video called I believe it's called This Video Will Make You Angry by CGP Grey. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. And he explains that online, there are communities that are forming. And he makes this point. He says, no matter which community you think this is about, it is not about you. I am not talking about you and those you're disagreeing with. But he points out that it seems like there's two groups yelling at each other. That's not what's happening. In fact, what's happening is there are two groups yelling to each other about the other. These leftists don't actually know what Charlie believes. They don't know what he stands for. They only know what was told to them by another psychopath about Charlie, which is likely incorrect. This leads them to radicalization, where they then go and kill a good man. I'm not the only one who deals with this. Other prominent personalities deal with this. But we recently started working with a guy who said when people found out he was working with us, they started saying, oh, you got to watch out for Tim Pool because he does this, that, this, and otherwise, and saying things about me that were just completely false. And he was like, that's not true. It's like, I met him. None of that's true. What are you saying? But they just make it up. They tell each other, and they create a fake image of who Charlie is, who we are, what we believe. They get radicalized by it. Then they are told by MSNBC and the New York Times and CNN and Van Jones, white supremacists, fascists, hate mongers. Let me put it like this. Back in the day, if there was like a neo-Nazi guy, literally with tattoos, walking around causing problems, people in the community would be like, hey man, we don't want you around here. Get out of here. A genuine, violent white supremacist screaming and yelling and threatening black people or whatever. People are going to be like, get out of here. We don't want that. We don't tolerate that. That's still true to this day among most of us. We don't want to tolerate. There was a man who showed up to a Patriot Prayer event several years ago in Portland, screaming the N-word and throwing up Hitler salutes. And the Patriot Prayer kicked him out. They said, get out of here. We don't want any of that. We don't want violent racists coming in here. That feeling you get when you're confronted by a psychopath, that feeling that you understand of why you would not want to associate with that person, these radicalized leftists are told that about you, about me, about Ian, about Libby, about Phil. So imagine the most vile person you can think of that you would not want to associate with. The left genuinely believes you are that. And when you go to them and say, you're not a white supremacist and you actually don't like white supremacy, they're also trained. You're lying to them to trick them. So there's nothing you can say to convince them. So what happens? Charlie Kirk is killed by these radicals. And on X right now, all of these viral posts are lying about who he is and using it to justify why they did what they did and to encourage more.
What do we do about it?
Man, I wish I had answers, dude.
Yeah.
Think about it like a global war between communism and liberalism. And we're like pawns on the board, man. But how do you win that war? And then I guess you can also think of it from the ground up. You know, eat healthy, be kind to your kids.
Amen. I hate to quote communists, but to quote the most famous communist, Mao, political power comes down the barrel of the gun. And I'm unsettled. Am I misquoting?
No, go on, please.
I'm unsettled by how unfortunately true it is, so it seems, that the difference a disenfranchised lunatic could make, a motivated person, a person who's motivated and armed, how much damage they could do. It was proven with the guy who got a target on the president. You know, we've been seeing this with Luigi Mangione. We've been seeing this with the embassy workers, the Israeli embassy workers in D.C. We've been seeing attacks on Steve Scalise. That was quite a while ago. But, you know, the damage one motivated person can do is so detrimental to the fabric of our society. I feel like this will inevitably lead to more political violence.
Well, on the point of political violence, right? We should not endorse political violence from individuals, but it's worth noting Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the office of the president, and the government has a monopoly on violence. The government. Well, they do. Yes, legally they do.
Legally, but clearly not in practice here.
What are you saying that they don't? So listen.
I'm saying the government doesn't have a monopoly on power because we have the Second Amendment and people get shot up all the time.
The idea of a monopoly on violence means that if they use violence, they will not actually go to jail. You're just trying to distract what I'm saying with BS. The government has a monopoly on violence. Okay, that's not actually in question. Whether or not they execute it or use it, that depends on whether or not the president or the Congress or the DOJ will do their duty. The point that I'm trying to make is while the conservatives have control of the government, they need to exercise power in whatever ways they can. So I don't see a problem with actually trying to use the government to punish people that are engaging in inflammatory rhetoric because they're trying to incite violence, right? If you're out here saying, oh, Trump's a Nazi, Trump's a Nazi, Trump's a Nazi, the point of that, the intent, the reason they're saying it is because they want to incite this type of behavior. That's incitement and that's illegal. So maybe the government should start saying, unless you actually have some kind of evidence that someone's a Nazi, maybe the government should go and say, you're actually, by calling people Nazi all the time, you're trying to incite violence, and we're going to arrest you.
Well, that's basically what Trump just said. Those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.